everyone, it's the newfound Nomad, and guess what I am doing today? I am taking out my passenger seat for the third and final car camper conversion because I will be living in my car. So in my last car camper conversion video that you may have seen, I didn't take out the passenger seat. Instead, I built a platform over the passenger seat, which was great when you're just doing car camping, once or twice a week or once or twice a month. But if you're living in your car every day, you're going to want something a little bit more comfortable. I got so tired of hitting my head off the roof of the car when I was waking up that I actually needed to build something ground level. So that's why I'm taking out my passenger seat. It's going to give me more room, and I can't wait for you to see this camper conversion. So as you can see, I'm taking out the passenger seat, and then I realize the seatbelt's still attached. And I was like, okay, I'll just unhook it. Well, nope. It's actually bolted to the seat, and I have to go back to my grandfather's and get my uncle to help me remove this bolt. So yeah. That kind of sucked, especially when I was already down to my friend's house to store the seat in her storage room at her place. And that's pretty much what I do. I have a lot of good friends who allow me to store my items in their place, especially when I'm living in the car. I used to pay for a storage unit, but this whole point is to save money. So instead of paying for a storage unit, I have really good friends that don't mind me, splitting my stuff up amongst them. So thank you so much, Alicia. So I'm trying to figure out how to take off the seatbelt, and as I mentioned, I just ended up going back to my grandfather's and getting my uncle to remove it because these bolts are put on tight. So if you don't have a lot of upper arm strength, it's going to be difficult for you to take off the bolts, especially when you're removing the passenger seat yourself. So you definitely want to get some help for that. Now make sure that you store the bolts and nuts, whatever comes off, in a safe place because eventually you're probably going to want to put your passenger seat back in. So you want to be able to locate those bolts and nuts. So I've now returned to my friend's place, just coming down over the bank with my passenger seat to store it in her storage room. Man, this seat is not light. I'm using all the little bit of muscle strength I have to carry it. So here we are, passenger seat out, placed in the storage room for safekeeping. So now you guys can see that the passenger seat is out. I do have a mess in my car, so we're going to pull out the vacuum and do some vacuuming. You guys probably seen in my last camper conversion that I actually had to take some people call it a precision saw, but I think it's like a table. I can't remember what it's called. It's not a chop saw. I think it's something like a table saw, but it's handheld. I'm having a brain fart. I'll just put it up in the video, what the name is. So I actually had to cut my frame out of my car in my last video using that. So that's why there's sawdust everywhere. So we got her cleaned up as much as we can. And the thing is that after all these conversions, I never really had much scrap wood left when it come to plywood. So thank goodness, and God love my grandfather for having a piece of plywood down in his basement, and he is going to give it to me so I can make my frame. So as you can see, he's measuring twice and then cutting once. So you're probably thinking, how long is this? It's not the frame, sorry. How long is this piece of plywood? So this is what's going to sit on top of the frame, and that's what my body's going to rest on. And that is actually 4 feet long and 22 inches wide. So it's 4 feet long is because I'm actually going to be using my back seat as like an extension for the bed. So I'm only 5'5", so I can actually have a smaller bed frame. You'll see what I'm talking about. I'm also a side sleeper and tend to curl my knees in. I wouldn't recommend this particular car camper conversion for anyone that is taller than 5'5". I mean, you can always take out your back seats and put your legs going into the pass-through, I believe that's what it's called, into the trunk. You can make your bed frame longer that way. However, if you're doing it the way that I'm doing and using your back seat as a place where you lay your head, then this conversion is for people 5'5" and shorter. So here I am actually at Kent, and you can see that you can get scrap wood for like $1, $2, 50 cents. If you're just building a frame together, or you're building like a little shed and it's nothing too serious, head to Kent. You can see I've only got lumber for $6 I spent on a couple pieces of lumber to help build my frame. I did have a couple pieces of scrap wood left from my old camper conversion, so I used that as well. So as you can see here, it's just a little clip of my grandfather and my uncle. They've helped me a lot on this journey installing a roof rack for more storage. Now here I am in Canadian Tire, and now what I'm doing is I'm actually finding some sort of cushion, because I don't know if you guys noticed, but like finding camping pads, sleeping pads, foam, and other things along that line is pretty expensive. So I've got the idea to why not get patio chair covers or patio chair cushions. And I actually seen this one online. This is a bench cover, or sorry, a bench cushion. So you can get them for your patios, and this one's 4 feet long and 19 inches wide. So it's actually the same, almost the same size as my frame. And if you look at it, it's like pretty thick. And this is what you're looking for a nice foam mattress for in your car. I don't know about you, but I'm almost 32 years old. I'm not getting any younger, and I definitely want a good sleeping platform when I'm camping or living in my car. So this is definitely a win. So what I'm doing is I'm actually bringing you guys to the camping section, the outdoor section of Canadian Tire, because I want to show you the price comparison for getting a bench cushion versus actually getting a camping sponge or a camping sleeping pad. So I'm just heading over here. We're going to go to the self scanner so I can show you the price of this bench cushion. And you know what? It's not too bad. And it also has like a dirt resistant cover that can actually be taken off and thrown in the wash, which I like. That's an added benefit. Just mad struggle here trying to get up to the price scanner. It's only $55.99 for this patio bench cushion. So we're gonna go over to the next aisle and check out those camping sponges. I absolutely love Canadian Tire. It's one of my favorite places to go. I love outdoor gear. I love survival gear. These are just like foam mattresses that you can get, and like, you know, inflatable mattresses as well. But we're going over here to the sleeping pads, the foam pads. So as you can see, you can get one for $46. You can get one for $69.99. And the $69.99 one looks great because it's super long, but look how thin it is. You'd have to double it up. And if you double it up, it'll lose its length, so it's not the most ideal. So now that we've got the materials needed to build the frame and we've got the cushion, we are going to start building the bed frame. So first we've got to measure the height of which the frame will come up to. As I mentioned, I want it to be leveled with the back seat because the back seat is going to be a part of my bed frame, my sleeping platform altogether. So we're just going to measure the height from the car floor up to the cushion. Then we're going to have to make a couple of legs. So I'm thinking that there's going to be 6 legs altogether, 2 in the back, 2 in the middle, and 2 in the front. So each of them are going to be 10 inches long. So I've got the lumber measured out, so I'm just going to go to the chop saw and cut 6 10-inch pieces, and these are going to be the legs. So we're going to jump forward, and now I have 6 of the legs cut at 10 inches in height for each. I just used 2x4s to make these legs. Here we are. So each vehicle is going to be different measurements, and I mean, your back seat might be 12 inches high, where mine's only 10 inches. So it all depends on what you're doing. So always take your measurements. Don't go exactly by what I'm telling you, but definitely go with the design. I actually got this design from a YouTuber and TikToker named Michael, who also lives in his vehicle and trying to save money. So I actually got this design from him, so credits to him. But as you know, I believe he has a Corolla and I have a Honda Accord. So our cars are two different makes, so I never got any measurements from him. I just kind of ran with the idea and the style of the platform, as you can see. So here I'm just, putting each leg where I want it to be positioned. So as I mentioned, there's 6 legs all together. 2 in the back, 2 in the middle, and 2 in the front. And this is what it looks like so far. So now the idea is actually to lay the platform on top of these legs and make sure that I got them at the right height. So that's what we're going to do now. And here we are. It actually looks great. And the reason why it only goes up so far to my seat is because once I add the cushion, it's going to be leveled with the back seat. So you want to keep that in mind. You don't want to build it flush with the top of the cushion, because once you add padding on top of it, it's going to be at a different height and a different level, and you don't want that. So the next thing that I'm doing is I'm measuring the distance between each leg. The reason why is because I'm going to put some support bars or a piece of wood to hold these legs together. So I believe each piece ended up being like 1 foot and 13 inches long. No, 14. So 1 foot and 14 inches long. So pretty much I just measured out it on a piece of 2x4 and went to the chop saw again. So here we are. We've got my piece of plywood. We've got 6 legs. We've got 3 support bars. And we actually got 2 pieces of 2x4, which I also measured and took to the chop saw, because this is actually going to hold the whole frame together. So you'll see it once I start building it. So the first thing I had to do was attach the legs to the support bar. And that's what I'm doing here. Once you've got one done, you just repeat it for the next 2 sets of legs. Yeah? So this part was a little tricky. I am not a woodworker myself. I really just learn as I go. I mean, I've done many different conversions and they haven't turned out perfect, but they worked, and that's the main thing. And I'll probably say it many times in my videos. This conversion number 4, well, it's conversion number 3 for you all on YouTube, is my best one to this date. So what I'm doing now is I'm actually taking the measuring tape and I'm just measuring the distance between the end and the middle of the legs. And that's because I want to make sure that the position of the support bar is the same on both legs. If you understand what I mean. Like I said, I'm not a woodworker here. Once the measurements are done and I found the placement of the support bars, I'm just going to put it together using some screws. Pretty straightforward. And here we have it. That's 1 set of legs down. Now we've just got to do this 2 more times. So let's get at her. So here we are. We got the 3 sets of legs with their support bars done. So we're pretty much just going to space these out, and then we're going to add another support bar to just hold all 3 sets of legs together. You're going to see that now shortly. However, before we do that, let's see what it looks like on the car floor. And that looks great to me. Now let's get that piece of lumber and connect the 3 sets of legs together. And this is going to help my frame take its shape. And the frame is completed. So I did use some L brackets to help make the legs even sturdier and kind of hold it together. It's not perfect, but it's definitely going to work. It looks great. And as you can tell, those spaces in the middle there, that is actually going to be some storage. So now I'm just adding the piece of plywood on top. And this is also going to be the platform for my bed. So you're just going to get yourself some cabinet hinges, and that's what's going to allow the top platform or top piece of plywood to open up, and we can store some things down inside. So I ran into a situation. I didn't have small enough screw bits to fit into the cordless power drill. However, I did remember that in my last month's BattleBox is a monthly subscription service that sends you survival gear every month when you sign up for a membership. So I actually got this in my BattleBox. It's Fix-It Sticks. It's a neat little travel tool that has a bunch of small screw bits that are perfect for this kind of job. So as you can tell, I already got the star screw bit on there, and this nail is super tiny, but it fits perfect. And this is what's going to allow me to add my cabinet hinges to my bed frame. So let's do it. And here we are. We've got the piece of plywood that acts as my platform for my bed secured. Let's just open her up, and here we are. Now we can store some items in here for car living. Now let's put it in the vehicle and see how she fits. So overall, this bed frame is not very heavy. I mean, in film it kind of looks like it, but it's not. Well, it's awkward, we'll say. It's awkward picking it up and trying to get it into the vehicle. But I am happy that I can take it out without having to take it apart. And that's what I wanted to do. I didn't build it inside the car, which would have been a little bit difficult. And that's what I did for car camper conversion number 3. I actually built it over my passenger seat. And as you guys know, when I mentioned in the previous clips, or one of the previous clips, that I actually had to use a saw, a handheld saw, and power saw, there we go, and cut the frame out of my car because I couldn't get it out. So luckily we didn't have to do it this time. And here we are. It fits perfect. I could added a little bit extra length, but it's okay. I have lid down in here and I fit perfectly. Like I mentioned, I'm 5'5". My legs do hit the dashboard, but once I put this piece of foam in there, once I put the cushion in, it does go right up against the dashboard, the glove box there, and covers that gap. I mean, my weight is distributed evenly on the platform, so having my feet dangling off the frame, even though the cushion covers it, isn't going to make a huge difference. I could get a storage bin that's about the height of the frame and kind of fill in that gap, but there's really no need to do that. Honestly, she's looking really good. Then I just head to the dollar store and got a basket and a garbage pail and kind of just to put in the car for some storage and well as, garbage as well. I'm going to show you a couple pictures here and to give you an idea of what it looks like now. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for day 1. living in my car. Thank you for tuning in to the Newfound Nomad, Prepper, Nomad, and Survivalist. Stay tuned for more great videos.